Hello guys, good day. The purpose of this video discussion is for us to have the knowledge on how we should conduct our review of related literature, which is the chapter number 2 of our research manuscript. So to discuss the steps and procedures in conducting step number 2, please allow me to share my screen to you. Okay, there you go. So based on our screen, we have here several steps for conducting a review of related literature. We have number one, define your research question or objective. Secondly is search for relevant literature. Then third is evaluate and select sources. Four, organize the literature. Five, synthesize and summarize the literature. Then six, identify the gaps in the literature. And seven, write the review. And lastly, you have to cite the resources that you have used for your review of related literature. So ngayon, let's discuss one by one yung every step that we have to consider or follow when we are conducting our review of related literature. So number one, or the first step is that we have to appropriately define our research question or objective. When you are conducting a research, whether you are already on the chapter number 2 of your research manuscript, it is very important for us researchers that we appropriately define our research question as well as our research objective. Because technically, the research question and research objective that we have will serve as our guides or will serve as our guidelines in the remaining parts or in the conduct of our manuscript. So if you are able to appropriately identify your research question or objective, mas precise, mas systematic, and mas less yung possibility na makapag-commit tayo ng errors when we are conducting our research paper. So it's very important that we clearly articulate the research question or objective of our study. And at the same time, by clearly articulating our research question and objective, this will help us to identify what will be the scope of our review of related literature. For example, if our research is focused on the impact of online learning on the student engagement, so your objective might be to explore how online learning platforms influence engagement in various educational settings. So by having a precise and clear objective or question, nagiging maayos din yung pag-create natin ng magiging scope or inclusion ng mga review of related literature na ilalagay natin sa paper natin. So that's step number one. Before conducting search for the article, it is very important first that we define appropriately our research question and objective. Okay? Then ano yung second step sa paggagawa ng review of related literature? The second step is that, for example, precise na and maliwanag na sa atin kung ano ba yung research objective natin. The second one is that we will now do search for relevant literature. Ito na yung time kung saan mag-open tayo ng iba't ibang academic databases kung saan pwede tayong humanap ng mga articles, ng mga studies, ng mga thesis, dissertation, or journals na pwede natin gamitin as relevant literature doon sa ating objective or connected doon sa ating objective and question. So when you are conducting search for relevant literature, pwede kayong maghanap sa Google Scholar, sa JSTOR, PubMed, meron pang eric.gov.ph, meron pang Google Web. So marami tayong pwedeng pagkuhanan ng mga references na pwede natin gamitin in our databases. And another thing na kailangan ninyong tandaan when you are searching for relevant literature, mali yung practice natin na kung ano yung buong title natin yun yung ilalagay natin dun sa ating search engine. That is one of the malpractices na ginagawa ng mga researchers when they are conducting search for review of related literature. Na kung ano yung actual title nila, yun din mismo yung ilalagay nila. No. What do you have to do is that you only need to identify keywords that are relevant and related to your topic or to your objective. For example, kanina, yung ating objective is all about the impact of online learning on the student engagement. So this is our objective. Ito yung gusto nating malaman. We want to digest and to know the possible impacts of online learning on student engagement. So what are the keywords that we might use kapag nag-search na tayo for relevant literature? So pwede tayong gumamit ng quotation, then online learning, after that, comma, then close quotation, space, open quotation, student engagement, comma, close quotation, space, quotation or open quotation, virtual classrooms, comma, close quotation, space, and open quotation, educational technology, period, close quotation. So kapag ito yung inilagay natin doon sa ating search engine, si Google or kung anumang database ang ginamit natin will provide different articles na na-mention or nasabi yung mga keywords na inilagay natin dun sa search engine natin. So if that will be the case, our databases could now provide a lot of references na pwede nating magamit sa ating review of related literature. Okay po, so that's step number 2. Ano yung step number 3? Step number 3 is all about evaluating and select sources. When you do a review of related literature and start searching for relevant articles or studies na align sa yung objectives, Google will provide a lot of results. And we as researchers, it is our responsibility to appropriately identify alin lang ba sa mga binigay na reference ni Google ang relevant or related sa present study na pinag-aaralan ko. Am I going, for example, to consider all of the reading references provided by Google, or I will just be selecting relevant articles that I can use for my research paper? Because it is very important that we are able to assess the relevance ng pipiliin nating article as well as yung credibility, no? Credible ba yung nag-post or yung gumawa ng article na yon? Quality-wise ba yung references na ginamit ko? Complete ba yung information? Meron bang disclosure ng mga relevant information sa paggagawa ng research paper? So you have to check everything. And pwede rin kayong gumamit ng mga search filter. Pag sinabi nating search filter, for example, ang gagamitin nyo lamang ay peer-reviewed article. So pwede nyo ngayong i-adjust yung setting ng database ninyo, then gawin nyo siyang peer-reviewed articles only. So ang lalabas doon, selected na lang talaga yung mga article na na-publish, then peer-reviewed ng ibang mga authors or ng ibang mga writers. O di kaya naman pwede rin kayong mag-set lamang ng limitations when it comes to publication. Halimbawa, ang ruling ng school ninyo dapat 5 years lamang or 5 years pataas yung references na gagamitin ninyo. So kung ngayon ay 2004, kung ngayon ay 2024, so ang pinakalumang article na pwede mong gamitin sa yung review of related literature is 2019. So it depends on the rules and regulations being implemented by your institution regarding on the publication year of your reference materials. Kasi merong institution na pumapayag sila ng 10 years, meron naman na napaka-strict na 5 years lang kasi yun ang nire-record sa kanila ng publication. So it depends. Okay? Then, for example, we are able to evaluate and select resources. Nakapili na tayo ng mga reference materials na gagamitin natin sa paper natin. Hindi pwede lahat ng mga reference materials na yun ay i-combine na lang natin basta-basta. It is very inappropriate that after we evaluate and identify articles that we will just combine it into one subtitle or into two subtitles. No. The next thing that you have to do is to organize the literature. So what do we mean by organize the literature? Gagawa ka ngayon ng themes or sa madalit sabi, in layman's term, gagawa ka ng mga categories or subtitles na kung saan pagsasama-samahin mo yung mga article na na-search mo na merong pagkakatulad-tulad or similar when it comes to nature of discussions. For example, meron kang nahanap nung inilagay mo yung mga keywords mo doon sa Google, nakapag-categorize ka ng iba't ibang mga themes or iba't ibang mga subtitles. Nakapag-search ka or nakapag-provide si Google ng mga articles na may kinalaman sa theories of student engagement. Meron kang mga nahanap na articles na ang dinidiscuss is all about theories of student engagement. So ngayon, yung mga articles na ang discussion is all about theories of student engagement, pagsasama-samahin mo yun in one subtitle. At ang pwede mong maging subtitle doon is theories of student engagement. Then another thing, nung inorganize mo yung review of related literature mo, nakita mo na meron doong mga articles na ang focus ay online learning tools. So ngayon, gagawa ka ng themes or gagawa ka ng subtitle. At ang pwede mong maging subtitle doon ay online learning tools. Pagsasama-samahin mo ngayon lahat ng mga articles na ang diniscuss is all about online learning tools. Then another thing, nung in-evaluate mo or nung kinategorize mo na yung mga articles mo, meron ka pang isang theme or meron ka pang isang subtitle na na-generate. And that is impact studies on engagement. So meron kang nakitang mga article na nakita, ano ba yung impact ng mga studies na yon on student engagement? So pwede ka ngayon magawa ng subtitle na kung saan ang pwede natin gawing subtitle ay impact studies on engagement. So ngayon, ang ating mga readers, hindi sila maguguluhan. Hindi ngayon sabog-sabog or hindi din halo-halo yung mga articles na meron tayo kasi we are able to appropriately organize yung mga articles na merong pagkakatulad or pare-parehas ng nature of discussions and findings or topic doon sa kanilang pinag-aralang research. Okay po? Then after that, sir, nakapaggawa na po kami ng mga themes. Nagrupo na rin po namin yung mga articles na makakaparehas. Ano po yung sunod namin gagawin? Ipapasok na lang po ba namin ang ipapasok yung mga articles na nakita po namin? The answer is no. The next thing that you have to do is to synthesize and summarize the literature na nakuha mo coming from the internet. For example, meron kang 5 articles na nakuha na nagpo-fall under ng sub-theme or ng subtopic na theories of student engagement. Hindi mo ilalagay lahat ng mga contents ng mga articles na yon or ng 5 articles na yon. What you have to do is to summarize the findings. Tingnan mo lang, ano ba yung pinaka-important discussions na meron ang article na to na pwede kong magamit sa present study na meron ko. Okay? Ano ba yung main findings? Ano ba yung conclusion na meron sila sa kanilang research paper na I think important and relevant sa present study na pinag-aaralan ko? Hindi nyo pwedeng kuhanin lahat ng contents from introduction to recommendation, kokopyahin ninyo. No. You have to appropriately identify and summarize the most important findings that you think is important and could be used on the present study that you have. And then halimbawa, nakapag-identify ka na, okay, ito yung pinaka-main findings ng article na to. Iko-compose ko siya. You have to compose it using your own words. Kailangan nating i-paraphrase yung mga statements na yon. Hindi pwedeng ikakopy na lang natin. Tapos, lalagyan na lang natin ng citation. No. Kasi kapag ipinasok naman natin yan sa similarity index, madidetect naman, for example, ng Turnitin na mataas yung similarity index ng paper natin kasi kinopy-paste na lang natin. What you have to do after you identify the main findings, which is relevant on your paper of this particular literature, you have to compose it using your own words without changing the main thoughts of that particular researchers. Hindi dapat magbabago yung thought. Okay po? And dapat with appropriate citation or format of citations. Halimbawa, oh sir, na-summarize ko na-paraphrase ko na. Okay na po ba yun? Pwede na po ba yun? Pasok na po ba yun? Technically, no. Ang sunod mong kailangan gawin is that kailangan ma-compose natin ng maayos at malinaw yung mga main findings na yon under noong sub-theme na ginawa natin, which is, for example nga, theories of student engagement. Kailangan maayos yung connection ng bawat findings. Kailangan may explanation. At yung explanation na yon will lead us toward the present study that we have. Hindi pwedeng pasok na lang ng pasok. Sige, ito na lang o ito na. Ganyan na lang. No. Kailangan mayroong maayos na transition, mayroong maayos na cohesion, yung mga ideas na synthesize natin coming from the reference materials na ginamit po natin. So that we could come up with a properly digest, process, and written na review of related literature under ng first subteam natin, for example, nga is theories of student engagement. Then you have to repeat the process hanggang sa matapos mo yung mga subteams na meron ka. For example, kanina, ilang subteams meron tayo? We have 3. No, inorganize natin yung mga articles na nakita natin, meron tayong na-generate na 3 subtitle. Theories of student engagement, online learning tools, then after that, impact studies on engagement. That's it. Pagsasama-samahin natin sila. Okay? Then, after that, okay, it is also important that we identify the research gap, no? Noong mga existing articles na meron tayo. Mas maganda sana kung yung research gap na mapapalabas natin doon sa review of related literature natin is mismo yung present study natin. Baka kasi yung research gap na mapalabas natin doon sa ginawang review of related literature natin ay hindi naman pala connected sa study natin. That's a big problem. So what you have to do is that make sure sana no para meron talagang appropriate alignment. Sana when you make your review of related literature, you have to make sure that the research gap it will lead to is yung present study na pinag-aaralan. So yun lang naman, kailangan makapag-identify tayo ng research gap. Okay? Then after that, yun na 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 synthesize na natin, na paraphrase na natin, mag-start na tayong magsulat ng ating review of related literature. Na kung saan nga, katulad ng sinabi ko sa inyo kanina, yung mga articles na magkakapare-parehas, pagsasama-samahin natin sila under ng subteams, bibigyan natin sila ng explanation that will lead us to the present study. And obviously, katulad ng sinabi din ng Sir Giovanni, you have to cite appropriately yung mga paraphrase ideas na meron kayo. So let's try to have an example. Now, let's try to have an example of it. Okay, let me just stop sharing my screen. Okay, so allow me to show you a sample of review of related literature. This is just a basic example no, of review of related literature. For the purpose of you having a overview only kung ano ba ang itsura ng review of related literature after we apply yung mga steps na pinakita ko sa inyo. So allow me once again to share my screen to you. Okay, there you go. Okay, This is a sample of review of related literature na meron tayo following the step-by-step procedures that I have presented to you a while ago. So let's try to process itong sample review of related literature natin. Take note ha, yung review of related literature na ginawa natin kanina is anchored to our objective and research question, which is how does online learning impact student engagement? So technically, when you do your review of related literature, hindi na naman natin inilalagay ito. Kumbaga, pinakita ko lang yan just for you to be guided kung paano ba ini-apply yung mga steps na yun. Obviously, we always have a brief introductory statement. Take note, ha? In every part of your research paper, it is very important that we have a brief introductory statement for the purpose of bringing or helping our readers to have the continuous understanding or connection of every part of our research manuscript. So kanina, di ba, nakapag-generate tayo ng tatlong subtitles, yung theoretical perspective on student engagement. Sabi ko sa inyo, our tasks does not end on simply researching articles. Ang task natin ay mahanap kung anong part ba ng article na nakita natin sa internet ang relevant or related na pwede nating magamit sa paper natin, na nagpo-fall doon sa theme na generate natin or doon sa subtitle na generate natin. So ito yung subtitle na na-generate natin after nating makategorize yung mga articles na na-search natin. Tingnan ninyo, uh, they have presented here the idea coming from Fredericks and Blumenfield and Paris 2004. The only problem with this sample citation that I have is medyo luma na siya. Hindi medyo, luma na talaga siya. In our case, dapat 10 years or 5 years. Ito medyo luma na. Never mind. Basta ang mahalaga makita ninyo yung principle. So what they did is that they identify what particular part of the studies or what particular part of the study ni Frederick, Blumenfield, and Paris ang important doon sa ginawa nilang study. And pinaraphrase nila yon, ito yon. Ito yung idea na kinuha nila. From student engagement up to this part. Then after nilang masynthesize yung idea ng mga authors na to, the next thing that they did is they explained it. They explain it academically in such a way na talagang ma-highlight yung pinaka-main point ng mga author na to. So yan, in-explain nila yan and it consume one paragraph. So yung idea doon sa research paper na ginawa ni Fredericks, Blumenfield, and Paris 2004, nag-consume siya ng isang paragraph. Okay? Then yung next na paragraph, sabi ko sa inyo, it's very important for us na okay yung cohesion and coherence ng ating mga articles. Yung transitions, maayos. So gumamit sila ng transition na in the context of online learning, then after that, nagpasok sila ng panibagong author or citation, and that is si Kersley and Schneiderman, 1998. The problem here, once again, is medyo obsolete na. Hindi medyo obsolete na talaga yung article na to, but never mind. The important here is that you do understand the principle or the concept. So, kinuha nila yung important part ng study ni na Kersley and Schiederman, 1998, hanggang dito. Okay? Properly cited. Then after that, they provided explanation on that particular findings. Okay? So that's it. So nag-consume din siya ng one paragraph. Then after that, nagpunta sila sa panibagong author. Take note ha, dapat yung mga author na to, ang discussion is relevant dun sa inyong subtitle or dun sa sub-theme na na-generate ninyo, which is theoretical perspective on student engagement. Okay? Then, after noong ma-discuss yung kina Kersley and Schiederman 1998, panibagong author, and that is si Dixon 2015. May maayos na transition ulit, research support, the critical role of engagement in online learning. Then after that, pinasok yung citation ni Dixon. Then after that, they provided the explanation of the findings of Dixon 2015 on his or her research paper. Then after that, halimbawa, na-process mo na, tingin mo sufficient na yung explanation. You have now to provide or you need to provide conclusion based on the findings of these authors. So this is the conclusions. Okay? Then after that, panibagong sub-theme, which is, ito naman, yung panibagong group of articles. Then ginawa natin sila ng isang sub-theme. Nung ginurup natin sila, ginawa natin sila ng isang sub-theme. At yung sub-theme na nagawa natin ay online learning tools and their impact on engagement. So kaninong author ang diniscuss? Or sinong author ang diniscuss? Si Bocher and si Conrad 2016. Then after that, panibagong paragraph, panibagong author, si Harantiski or Harantinsky. Sorry if nami-mispronounce ko yung mga pangalan. We will not known kasi sa mga pangalan. So there you go. Then may explanation ulit. Then they repeat the process hanggang sa matapos nila lahat ng mga articles na na-identify nila na nagpo-fall under that particular theme. Then last sub-theme na meron tayo is impact on student engagement. Then ganun ulit, same procedure, discussion of the articles na nagpo-fall under this sub-theme. Then that's it. Okay? Then after that, ang pinaka-last part ng inyong review of related literature is yung tinatawag natin na synthesis. Synthesis, ito yung isa sa mga maling ginagawa ng mga researchers natin. Akala kasi ng iba, ang synthesis is just a mere repetition of the ideas being discussed ng mga author na nasa ibabaw. No, pag sinabi kasi nating synthesis, this is the part of the chapter number 2 kung saan ipinapakita natin or idinidiscuss natin sa mga readers natin yung similarities o di kaya naman differences ng mga author or ng mga research na nakita natin. For example, in this paragraph number 1, what being presented here are the similarities and differences ng author or ng research paper ni Frederick, Blumenfield, and Paris in relation kay Kersley and Shederman. Okay, pinakita yung similarities nila. Okay, then after that, sa paragraph na to, pinakita yung similarities and differences ng article ni na Bernard, ni na Martin Bulliger, 2018. Then after that, you end your synthesis with the presentation of the research gap. Ito yung sinasabi ko sa inyo. Kailangan yung research gap natin magsasabi na there is still a need to conduct yung present study natin. Kasi kung walang research gap na related dun sa present study natin, there's no sense for us to continue studying the present study. Kailangan talaga mag-lead yung mga na-identified natin articles towards our identified research gap. So ito, diniscuss dito sa part na to, yung research gap nila. Tingnan natin. Despite this advancement, a significant gap remains in understanding how these tools affect younger learners, particularly in primary education. The majority of research has focused on higher education, where students typically have more autonomy and familiarity with digital tools. There is a pressing need for studies that examine the long-term impact of online learning tools on younger students who may have different developmental needs and learning preferences. Addressing this gap is crucial for designing age-appropriate online learning strategies that effectively engage and support primary school students. So with that, yung chapter number 3 mo, magagawa mo ng maayos. Kasi, okay, nakita ko doon sa ginawa kong review of related literature, yun din naman ang pinaka-main intention ng review of related literature, makapag-identify ng magandang research gap. Pwede ka ngayon makapag-structure ng magandang chapter number 3 na kung saan ang pwede mong maging respondent ay mga pupils or mga younger learners. And kapag tinanong ka ng mga panelists, bakit younger learners or bakit mga pupils ang respondents mo sa study mo? Madali na lang siyang sagutin. Because based on the review of related literature that we did, it is evidently present that there is a gap when it comes to understanding of how these tools, online platform to be more specific, affect younger learners, particularly in primary education. So you can now easily have a discussion with your panelists. The discussion will now be more educative and friendly na lang. Okay po? Then after that, do not forget to put the references that you have used for your chapter number 2 for point of reference ng inyong mga readers and panelist natin. So, ito yung mga references na ginamit. And then, ito naman yung reference materials na ginamit ni Sir Joanny dun sa discussions nung steps and samples na meron ako. Obviously, ang paborito kong gamitin is yung book ni Creswell. Ginamit ko din ang book ni Galvan. Ginamit ko din ang book ni Booth and Sutton as well as yung book ni Hart. So I have here 4 reading reference materials para doon sa steps na pinakita ko sa inyo. Okay po? So just to recap everything, simple lang ang paggagawa ng review of related literature if you are familiar with the steps. And yung familiarity ng steps na yun na ipakita ko na sa inyo. Na-discuss na ng Sir Giovanni ng maayos yung mga steps na yun. And I hope and I pray through the intercession of Blessed Virgin Mary that you will be able to come up with a good, sound, reliable, valid, and reader-friendly na chapter number 2. Okay? So thank you so much for listening and watching this video. Enjoy your writing, our dear researchers, and I hope na maging successful ang inyong review of related literature. God bless and goodbye.